Good evening and welcome. This is the March 7, 2019 meeting of the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Gordon Backlund.
Present.
William Holmes.
Present.
Elizabeth Showalter. Present. David Oswald.
Present.
Thank you. The first action item is approval of expenditures, a copy of which has been distributed to each of the commissioners. Is there a motion to approve the expenditure?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on any of the expenditures? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have approval of the February 13th meeting of the HRA. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval of resolution, HRP parcels, Anoka County tax forfeiture. Mr. Boland, you want to explain this?
Certainly, Chairman Hull, Commissioners. Back in 2010, the authority approved an amended and restated plan for the housing replacement program. The changes you made at that time allowed you to add properties into the program through adopting a simple resolution, provided that the parcels met the required criteria for the program, and that being that the property be vacant, dilapidated, and for sale. Once in the program, you were able to collect tax increment on that property for 15 years to help recover some of your costs for the program. Since the program originally started in 1995, you've approved 13 phases for a total of 40 properties that have been either built new or rehabbed through the program. In 2010, we went to the legislature and were given some special legislation that allowed you to expand that program and go up to 100 parcels total over time, including the 40 properties that you currently have in the program. Tonight's edition will bring that up to 42 properties. Anoka County recently made 2 tax forfeit properties available to the city to purchase. Both the properties meet the requirements for the housing program, and those properties are located at 4733 2.5 Street and at 6209 Baker. The property at 4733 2.5 Street is a tear down. The home is, the foundation is starting to crumble. It's full of mold, and it is a tear down. We would go ahead and have this property torn down and made available for sale later this spring. And based on recent demand here in the community, I would think that we would have a new home completed by Halloween on that site. The other property we're asking you to put into the program is located at 6209 Baker Avenue. This property, from what we've seen so far, does appear to be repairable, and it's in a very visible location right on the corner of West Moore Lake Drive and Baker. This sits behind Miller Funeral Home and across from the church. This would be a good candidate for you to put into your Fridley Foundation's, your remodeling demonstration program. It's been about 8 years now since we've had a property. We've been able to acquire a property that would be a good fit for that program. Maybe just for some of those watching and some of those that are new to the commission, that is a program that over the years we've remodeled 2 different homes in the community. And as we went through each stage of the remodeling, we held a series of open houses. So residents had the ability to come through and see, in some cases, how easy some of these changes are to make to these ramblers that we have all across the community. And in other cases, just to get some ideas for their own homes. And I know the last two we did through the open houses that we had a couple thousand people come through each of those homes. So, this is an opportunity to potentially do that. I'm not asking you to take that action tonight, just simply to put this into our housing replacement program. As we get into the house a little bit more with our building official and some others, we'll come back to you with a recommendation as to the viability of actually doing a demonstration on this home. But what we've seen so far does appear to be a good candidate. So with that, I would recommend that the authority approve the resolution amending the housing replacement program to include phase 14 and adding these two parcels into the housing replacement program. And further, I would recommend authorizing or just adopting a motion authorizing me to go ahead and move forward with demolishing the property at 4733 2.5 Street. I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Boland. Any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve? What is this, number 14?
Correct. Phase 14.
Phase 14 of the housing replacement program for purchase of properties at 4733 2.5 Street and 6209 Baker Street.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we adopt the resolution and go ahead and purchase the two, knowing that we're going to tear down and build on one of them, and the other one we'll deal with it later.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. It'll be interesting to see what we can come up with in terms of viability of what should we say, a remodeling effort that people can look at. So a very good deal to improve our housing stock. Thank you. Next item is item 4.
Mr. Chairman, would this qualify for Habitat for Humanity?
Certainly, Chair Holm, Commissioner. Habitat for Humanity will often go out and they've purchased some vacant lots from us when we've knocked them down. So they've always had that ability to come in and purchase lots from us. In this particular case, I think they could certainly take a look at these properties, and if they had an interest in them, we could explore that possibility.
Mr. Chair, I was thinking about the refurbishment process.
It's so far in the community, there's one I'm aware of that they've rehabbed off of Mississippi Street. I think there was one down south of the freeway they probably did 9 or 10 years ago. But the last few years they've been doing more new construction. But I can certainly check with them, and maybe there's some ability to partner with them on this remodeling demonstration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Item 4, postponement of approval of land sale, Sherman and Associates, 6050 Main Street. Paul?
Certainly, Commissioner Holm, Commissioners. As you're aware, we've been working with Sherman on redeveloping the rail station site. For the past couple of months, we've been working with them on how to help fill this gap that has come up in the construction. I think we have a solution for that. It looks like a loan from the authority would help fill that gap. But we're still trying to work out the final details on that. And we would bring that to you at your April 4th meeting. This was on tonight's agenda simply because at the time I needed to put legal notices in the paper. It looked like we would have this item ready to go, but it's not there yet. We're just waiting for some more comments back from Sherman. But in order to postpone this, we would just ask that you open the public hearing and then continue the public hearing until April 4th.
Okay, so this is a deferment of the public hearing until a later
Correct.
date. Is there a motion to approve the deferment or postponement of approval of land sale for Sherman and Associates?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is approved. Next, approval of bid solicitation, demolition of 6431 University Avenue, former City Hall. Mr. Moe.
Sure. Chair Holm, Commissioners, as you are aware, we've worked with Steve Dunbar and with Jim Winkles from Amcon Construction for close to 2 years now on redevelopment of the former City Hall site. In August, you approved an exclusive negotiations agreement to work with them. We did a lot of due diligence. They did a lot of due diligence. In January, just a couple months ago, we approved a development agreement for that. And as things have moved forward here, there are some things that we have in our development agreement in regards to how the demolition is being done and how we would reimburse them for some of that demolition work. It doesn't fit quite as neatly in the real world as it maybe does in our agreement. So we had, over the past month, we've had a few different meetings with the developers on that issue. And we came in thinking we may be able to do a little bit better on the demolition than they could. That may or may not be the case now. We had a 2-hour meeting with them this afternoon. And I think the fact that we've asked you to authorize us to go out and solicit bids if necessary. I think we've gotten the numbers, their numbers closer to where they need to be. And it's led to some ongoing dialogue we will have with them here over the next couple of months. There are some things where with the demolition, it makes sense to have it done in a certain way so that when fill is taken out, when fill goes back in, it's compacted where it needs to be to accommodate their building. So there are some good reasons for their numbers to be slightly different than ours. But we made a lot of headway with them tonight when Attorney Casserly and I met with them, and we're going to keep working with them. But in the event we're not able to come to a conclusion that works well for us, we would just ask that you authorize us to go out and solicit bids for the demolition.
Okay. So we will, if we go ahead and approve this bid solicitation, my understanding is that you may or may not actually go out for bids. It depends on how negotiations are, but as a backup, you would like the approval to go out for bids.
Correct. And Chairman Holm, I'll clarify, and maybe Jim can jump in here too, but there will be bidding on this project either way. If they do the work on our behalf, they will go through and get bids. That's how we have it set out in our development agreement now. So that's one way to do it. That does not need your authorization. You've already given that through the development agreement. But this is if we as the authority take on all of the demolition, we would go out and solicit bids from some specific contractors to do that.
Very good. Okay, is there an approval for for staff to proceed with bid solicitation for demolition of 6431 University Avenue.
So moved.
Second. Second.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
There is, second.
Seconded by Commissioner Backlund. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Finally, postponement of approval of land sale. A couple of postponements here tonight. This is the Fridley Investments at 6431 University Avenue. Paul?
Chair Holm, Commissioners, this is in relation to the item that you just acted upon with the bid solicitation. We would just ask that you open the public hearing and then defer action or continue the public hearing until your April 4th meeting. This would be to authorize the actual land sale. Even though you've authorized the development agreement, we still need you to take formal action to authorize that land sale. And we would ask them, because there is still this unknown over the demolition, and it may end up coming back to you as an amendment to the existing development agreement. We are just asking that you hold off taking action on this item tonight. So we'd ask that you continue that, open the public hearing, and then just continue it until April 4th.
Okay. So
We're working with a lot of what ifs tonight,
this requires a motion to open a public hearing
and then continue it until April 4th.
for the land sale of 6431 University Avenue. Is there a motion to approve the open of that public hearing?
Before we vote on the motion, I'm curious to know why we would have to have a motion or an approval here to table the public hearing for another meeting. Couldn't we do that with just a standard Robert Rules of Order as we have in place?
I'll let our attorney, or Wally, we had some discussions about this.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, normally you want to set a date certain. When you have a public hearing, it's for a specific date. And so if you lay it on the table or defer it, you then don't know when you'll take it off the table. So that's why you want to have a specific date that you refer to. And the next regular commission meeting is April 4th. So that's when you would want to continue the public hearing, because that's part of the ongoing record.
Mr. Chairman, but if you table something, you can table it for time certain.
You can do that too.
I'm just curious. I mean,
We customarily have just continued the public hearing to a specific date.
so I would move that we approve opening the public hearing and then postponing it. And I suspect it has to be by resolution with us to the date that will be published, which would be the April 4th.
No, you're just continuing it.
Well, that's why I mean continuing.
Yeah, you're continuing it to a date certain because there was a date certain for this evening.
Yeah.
And so all you're doing is, as you open the public hearing, if there was somebody here tonight, they would then know that, or anybody who was listening would know that they could come on a date certain to talk about this specific issue.
We could call it where we move to go to rest and relaxation for a period of 30 days or something like that. But I'm just putting that up for poorly generated humor. I would renew my motion.
Pardon?
I renew the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is made to open the public hearing for approval of land sale, 6431 University Avenue. Now, is there a motion to continue this hearing until April 4?
I believe
Our
the
next
motion
meeting.
already included that.
Pardon?
I think we already included that.
Yeah, I told
Did we include that all in one motion? Okay.
Now we just need to vote.
Let us take a vote on that. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finally, any information items, Mr. Boland?
Yes, this past month, there were 3 loans that were closed on. One of our regular revolving loans, we had 1 senior loan and 1 of our emergency loans. That gives us a total of 3 for the year to date. We had no remodeling advisor visits in February, and we had 4 home energy squad visits this past month. And I think she said she's got 9 scheduled already for March. So we'll see an uptick in those numbers. The only other thing I'll mention is your next meeting, April 4th. We will start that at 8:15 as well, because there will be one of the housing corridor or the corridor initiative meetings that will run from 6 until 8 p.m. that night.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, does that have to be published? When we change the day, time?
It does get noticed through the city's website and then posted on all the doors. It follows the same procedures we do when we change meeting times.
Okay, is there any other items to be brought up at this time? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, there is. So moved to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Commissioner Backlund. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Oswald. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Meeting is adjourned at 8:38.